In my previous video, FL Studio for beginners, I show you guys how to create a drop that sounds like this. And in another following video, I also showed you guys how to create a build-up that sounds like this. So right now we have the drop and also the build-up. What is missing to make this a complete song is for us to add the slow part of the song, or some people call it the breakdown. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys step by step on how to create the breakdown. And by the end of this video, hopefully, you'll be able to create a breakdown that sounds like this. This is all in here. Let's get this video started. The first step is to create the lead for the breakdown. What I did was clone the lead channel of my drop and bring this all the way down just to keep things organized. Bring it to the front, change this to BD lead, orange color. I'm going to loop this and find a sound that I really like. I'm just going to let it play. Go through the GM synth under lead, see which sound appeals to me, which sound that I like. So I really like this sound. It has that bass, UFO kind of sound. So we're gonna go with this sound for the lead. Once you have the sound that you like, you want to start creating melodies. So we can delete the old melodies that we had. And I'm just gonna go through the piano roll and just see what note appeals to me. Okay, so I really like this C5 here. So once you have found your sound and your note, you want to find the second note so that it makes up a melody. So I really like that bouncy reverb feeling. So let's go with that. And then G. So once I have these two notes, then I'll just go ahead and think in my head like ding, 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 ding. So what would make it a melody? Ding, 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 ding. So that will make it melody. Yep, that sounds good to me, and I think we can duplicate this to the next 4 bars. Right now, the breakdown lead that we have would sound like this. Okay, but hold up. Are we just going to create like the lead, the chorus, the bass, and then just make the whole thing a breakdown? Of course not. We need a proper plan and we need transition. So there will be segments of the song that we need transition to bring them from one segment to another segment. Let me explain. The breakdown plan. Currently, we have the drop here and the build up here. Each of them is having 4 bars. And for the breakdown, the front part, we're gonna add another 6 more phrases or 24 bars. So this one is just going to be a transition in between the breakdown to the build up. So there'll be some sounds going down, some sounds going up, just to blend in this breakdown towards the build up section. And for the breakdown, it'll be made out of a few elements: the drums, lead, the chords, and the bass. How are we going to create our breakdown using all of these elements? So we're going to start off with the chords here on the first 4 bars, and then the lead will slowly build up along these 4 bars and come in on the second set of 4 bars. Let's name this phrase number 2 and phrase number 1. So the lead is going to come in here with a reverse reverb. I'll explain this later, together with the bass. And it's going to continue on same, but on this section here, we're going to add a few more elements to spice things up. Let's call them as lead modified and also chords modified. They are basically the same thing, just that it's using a different sound and sometimes a different melody just to spice things up, but their purpose is the same. It's to occupy the high frequency, the middle frequency, and so the lower frequency. If you don't understand all of this, this, you should just check out my video on FL Studio Mobile tutorial for beginners. Yeah, I explain a lot of them there. So starting with the fourth phrase, we're going to add in the lead modify and the chords modify, and of course the chords is going to run all the way down here up until here. On phrase 3, we are going to gently bring in the lead modify and the chords modify either by volume or automated low pass filter. On the fourth phrase, we'll introduce in the drums as well, and then this leads modify and chords modify. Bass is just going to run all the way through, lead as well, drums as well to P5. So what's happening in the breakdown is that we have just one phrase of chords, and before going into the second phrase we added 2 sounds here, and then that continues on to the third phrase, and on the fourth phrase we added again 2 sounds and also the drums. So what you can see here is that there is a pattern going in. 2 phrases here, 2 phrases here. Each time we enter new phrases, we don't just add 1 sound, we add 2 sounds to make it really interesting. And that is our plan to create the breakdown. Okay, now that we have the plan to create the breakdown, let's work on the chords. To create the chords, again, apply the same thing, clone our chords from our drop, drag it all the way down, keep all the breakdown elements together. So the first step again is to find the sound that goes well with our breakdown lead or the sound that we like. So go to DW sampler. I'm under orchestra right now and I'm gonna run through all of these sounds here. Okay, I think I'm going to go with drawbar organ. It's just that it's a little bit high. So let me try to bring this down. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this sound here. So delete all the chords and I'm going to try to find a note that can go well with our breakdown lead right now. So let's just play it. A sounds like a good match. Then from A, go higher. G, go back to A, okay, so we right now have the bass notes of our chords. Now to make it a real chord, we're just going to add the third and also the fifth. Now if you don't understand what's the third and the fifth, I'm going to explain it to you right now. Currently we're using a C major scale, which means we only use all of the white notes and we're not using any black notes. So if you realize the black notes is a little bit off sounding, so it's not in harmony. For the simplicity of this tutorial, we are only using white notes. So to create a chord, just go to the third and also the fifth of your scale. If you just skip these black notes when you count upwards, second and third, and then fourth and fifth. And this would be a major chord. So again, second and third, 4, 5, this is a major chord. Third and fifth. So let's play it. So this chord is very basic sounding and needs a little bit of work. So to enhance your chords, just follow these steps, okay? So first is you can move any notes. For example, this F notes. This part here is a little bit high, so I'm just going to bring this F all the way down. A bit better. And then step number 2, you want to find a note that can be running across the whole entire chord progression, so that for the listeners there is this one constant sound they can stick to. Yeah, I think it's going to be D, so I'm going to bring the other notes down to D. So let's hear how that sounds like. Okay, this one still sounds a bit too low. So the third step is, after you've done the first and second step, is just based on what you listen to and just see what you want to modify, what notes you want to move up or down. You should have a chorus that sounds more non-basic. I realize I have the equalizer on, so I'm just going to turn this off. Sounds good. I'm going to bring down the volume here. Okay, so right now we have our BD chords. Change the color to orange red here. So right now we are done with the chords. If you remember, in our plan there was a chords modify. So I'm going to find another sound for this chord progression. So again, clone channel and solo this and the lead. So let's play it. I need something more catchy. Okay, I think altos is good. We just gotta clean things up here. Change this to BD chords modified and change the color, keep it as orange. And I want to make the sound more muddy, so I'm gonna go inside under the filter here. I'm just gonna filter out some high frequencies and bring in a little bit of resonance there so that it echoes. Also add in a bit LFO to the altos here. Yeah, okay, so right now we have our lead, chords, and also the chords modified. The next step will be the bass. For the bass, it's pretty simple. Again, clone the channel, bring it all the way down, keep things organized. I'm going to change its name to BD bass. Change the color a little bit, still green. And let's just check out whether does this sound work with all the other sounds. Yeah, I think it works fine. You're just gonna have to change the chord progressions for the bass. I'm gonna first try to just take the bass notes of our chords here and see how do they sound like. You can see a little bit here of the ghost notes. I can see the bass notes for our chords, and let's just play it. Okay, it's a bit too low, so I'm gonna bring it up here. It's an A, so I'm gonna bring it up one octave up. Still too low to hear anything. Bring another octave up here. Okay, that is good. Just I want to modify just a little bit here. Yeah, so the bass is very simple. Just take the bass notes of your chords, and if there's any notes that you think it will work better, you can just change it. Wait. Before we get into the next part, hold up right there. Remember, we say that we're going to add in 6 phrases in front of our existing build up and drop. Let's do that right now and keep things organized. So I'm just going to move the drop all the way to bar number 25 here, and the build up as well, and also our breakdown or the slow part of the song. Quick tip, if previously you hide the tracks here, just press on show tracks. Any automation you want to move it together, alright? So right now we can already do some organization based on our plan. First phrase, we're gonna have just the chords, and then the second phrase, the lead comes in. So you can just copy paste this, and also the bass. So the second phrase, we're going to add 2 sounds. On the fourth phrase, chords modified comes in as well. Yeah, so everything is coming in together, but we have a problem right now. So you realize that in our breakdown, the starting part, it is very slow, chill, and melodic. But if you jump into our build up, it's very high energy, very fast. At the beginning we have the slow part, and then the build up is quite fast. So we need a melody in the middle that is in between slow and fast, medium speed. We're going to do that with the lead modified sound. For the lead modify, same thing, we're going to need a new sound, but this time we're going to need a new melody as well. So clone the channel, change the channel name, modify, change the color a little bit here. And I've already checked the sound previously, and I know that this wobble here is a very nice complement to the whine sound. I'm going to use that, but this time I'll need a new melody. So instead of deleting and creating again, it's going to be quite similar to the slow version. I'm just going to make it a little bit more faster. Copy paste this and keep the first part there as reference. Drag this out and shift it to the part where I copy paste where we're going to write the new melody. Just highlight this one so that it loops only that section, and I'm going to turn only the chords modify and lead modify together, and let's start writing the melody. So for the melody, because I need it to be a little bit more faster, just play around with the notes. Like, how do I make this faster? And I realized there is equal gaps here. Here there's 5 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to double the speed by adding one note in the middle here and also here. And it turns out it sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of echo here, probably on my GM synth here. The effect is turned on. Yes, it is. So I'm going to turn off the delay here. So it's going to sound much better now. So repeat this here. So it feels like it's missing one note there. Ding, 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 ding. So I'm going to add that in. Ding, ding. Yeah, it's an A over here. Yeah, so I'm going to repeat this for the 3rd and 4th bar. So right now I'm going to give you guys tips on how to write good melodies, alright? So think of writing melodies as like a poem. The structure of the sentence is like repeating. I'm just going to come up with a poem right now. There was a coconut, I love its water. There was a walnut, it was sweeter. Okay, so if you see there, it was an A-B structure because nut ended with walnut, water ended with sweeter. This is the same thing as a poem. We are going to do an A-B. So let's just play and let's see how we can make our B out. So I think ding 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 ding. It can go a note lower. So let me just see. E looks good, so I'm just gonna move this to E and let's play it. Okay, this last note here. Ooh, sounds very good. So we're gonna make it an A-B here. So now we have our A-B. Okay, so now instead of A-B, we're gonna change it to A-B-A-C. I think it's gotta be like that. And let's play our breakdown lead modified. So that's a tip for you how to write better melody. Just do it like poem style. A, B, the B part, change a little bit, copy paste again, A, B, A, C, change a little bit on the C part, then you would get very nice sounding melody that sounds like a poem, if that makes sense. Right now we have all our elements, the chords, lead modify, the chords modify, and so the bass. So the next step is we're going to create the drums for our breakdown. Now to do this, again, clone the drums that I had for the drop and just going to bring it over to where I want it to be, which is right here when the lead modify and the chords modify starts, because during this phrase I want to add 3 sounds: lead modify, chords modify, and drums. Go ahead, just delete all of the drum patterns here. So if you can't find this same exact drum kit here, I actually loaded up from an FL Studio template at the beginning, Electro. So you're going to check out my previous videos, which I'll link it right here. But you can add individual snare or hi-hat just by pressing plus here and then searching for the name that you see right now on the screen, which is like FL Groove Kick 28 and so on and so forth. Okay, so once it's empty, the first step, of course, to create the drum pattern. So I'm just going to highlight here and we can start drawing out our drum patterns. So I'm going to have one kick on the first beat and one snare on the 3rd beat, and it's going to repeat for one phrase or 4 bars. So this one is a very standard drum pattern. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, on the 2nd phrase, I'm going to do the same thing. but adding one more kick in front of the snare right here, so it's gonna sound duk, duk, ch. Same, so the last one should be duk, 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 ch. Okay, too much. Yeah, that should be the one. So the second phrase should sound. And before it goes into the third phrase, I just want to end it with one kick right here to bring it into the next phrase. So that is our current drum patterns. The next step is the drum sound design. So think of sounds as having a spectrum from low frequency to high frequency. And currently we have our kick, which is occupying the low frequency, and our snare is towards the higher frequency, and they are quite narrow and want to round them off so that they sound fuller, meaning we're trying to add more range of frequency. So maybe if let's say our kick is too low sounding, we want to add a higher sounding kick so that the overall kick sounds very full and rounded and has a lot of frequencies inside it. For the kick, I'm thinking of going a little bit higher, so I'm going to add in the tom and snare at the bottom here, and then for the snare, let me hear it. I just want it to be more rounded, so probably snare, hat, snare. This snare is a bit too loud. I'm going to reduce the volume. Yeah, that is nice. So before the snare sounds like this, it sounds like a clap, right? After that, it sounds like this. So it's more higher frequency than just a clap. Change the color orange and rename this to BD drums. And once I've done layering all the breakdown drums, it should sound like this. So it's really up to you how much sound you want to add into your drums to make it sound fuller. You can have multiple layers of sound or just have a few layers of sound. Currently, I would like to add another layer of drums to reach the sound that I want it to reach. So to fine tune this, I'm just going to insert a channel here, select drums. The one that I tested sounded good was acoustic drums 03. I'm going to add one clip here, drag it the same length, and I'm going to start playing around with all of this and see how can it make the drums feel fuller. I'm going to rename the channel here to BD drums 2, make it orange reddish color, bring this down. Currently my kick is still a bit too punchy. I want to bring it down a little bit. So I think that's the reason why I selected this drum kit. The kick was low rounded so that it can bring the overall sound down. Yeah, so that is a very well rounded kick. Probably add a snare to it. Next is the snare. So the snare currently is again very punchy, too bright. I just want to bring it down a little bit. So let's see if I could add something lower. So this percussion is quite low sounding, so I add that. Maybe a bit too much, so I'm bring it down a little bit. And so add this hi-hat and see how does it sound like. So it's still very punchy. What can I add to make it less punchy? Probably this tom here. I think I'm going to add this tom in. We turn off this hi-hat, it's too high frequency. Yeah, I like that, so I'm going to fill that up here. So we are done with that for breakdown drums layer 2. All the drum patterns are here. So if you look at this, I actually layer 2 drum kits here. All these instruments mixed together make it sounds like this. So in the end, after all our elements, our melodies coming together, we have something that sounds like this for our breakdown. So one thing missing from our breakdown right now are transitions, how one part flow to another part. So for example, here where there's just one chord and suddenly there's a lead and also a bass. The lead and bass just come in suddenly, so you want to slowly ease that in. So there's a couple of methods like a reverse reverb, adding filler sound like reverse cymbal. You can use all of that to introduce new sounds into the song. So I'll cover that in the next video because this video is too long already. But before I end this video, I just want to say thank you because I've recently been accepted into the YouTube Partner Program. This has been a 5 years goal. I think I started uploading regularly since 2016. I've been wanting my channel to get monetized like for 5 years already and just like keep on uploading random videos, and now finally my channel has been monetized and the feeling is amazing. At the same time, I'm also a new dad. I recently had my son born, so everything is changing quite quickly for me. Sometimes I feel like I just need to be really thankful for the things that I have right now. One side deep note I just want to say here, that the human psychology or the human condition is very weird, because what we have imagined in our mind, right? So let's say I set this goal that I want to get monetized on YouTube. The way how humans think is, once I get monetized, like all my problems will be solved, without realizing that, let's say I set this goal for 5 years, I work towards it for 5 years, hitting the hard work, grinding, and finally everything happens, right? I get monetized, right? Everything is still the same because your attitude, the way how you perceive the world is still the same. Basically, I'm just trying to say your happiness don't change when external things happen to you. It might feel that way when you're thinking about it, but when it really happens, you need to be aware that that's not how things works. What's normally going to happen is you're going to set a bigger goal for yourself and then you're going to work towards that goal. And the last thing that I personally want for myself is to suffer achieving something just for the end result. There's a saying like means to an end, right? So I really don't want that. I really want like whatever things that I do, thinking about the video, shooting the video, editing the video, I really want to enjoy every single thing, enjoying the process. That way, like at the end of it all, right, if I don't achieve my goal or if everything just fails or tomorrow YouTube just disappears, I've enjoyed my time pursuing this goal. So I think that's the most important. At the end of the day, if you don't bring money into your grave or all this kind of thing, so if you want to pursue something, pursue it enjoyably. So that I would say is my personal never-ending goal that has a means to an end, ironically. And I think that goes the same for you. If you want to make music or whatever, don't just do it for the end result, do it for the process because you really enjoy making music. I think that way also, when you do music joyfully, the result will also sound better. You don't just work in a frustrated mood and then you just get tired very quickly. You work like very relaxing, very chill. So that was the personal message. Back to the FL Studio tutorial. This is actually part 3 of a series of videos where I show you how to create music from scratch until a complete song. So if you haven't checked out part 1, click on the left video here where I show you how to use FL Studio Mobile. After that, you can check out part 2, which I show you how to create a build-up for this drop. So depending on whether you've checked out part 1 or not, click on one of these videos because it will help feed this cute little baby.